But the fact was, I didn't abandon my lifestyle when I got saved. Because if I had to abandon it, I would have had to abandon church. Because my life was the church when I got saved. My life was focused around the ministry. I mean, I was training for the ministry when I got saved. So to say that, you know what, we got to be willing to turn over a new leaf, sometimes that's just not the case. Sometimes it's about getting the right perspective on the life that you're living. You know, as I said this morning, there's a lot of people that we live with, that we work with, that we rub shoulders with, that, you know, for all intents and purposes are good people in our eyes. And that's what makes it difficult to reach them. It makes it difficult for us to witness to them and say to them, you are a sinner that deserves to go to hell. That's a stark message, right? I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow for somebody who thinks they're a good person. That's hard to swallow for somebody who's, they're good in their marriage. They've raised their kids. They've been faithful. They're hard workers in society. They're contributors to society. They're not out there, drinking and smoking and carrying on and living in debauchery and destroying people's lives and stealing and, just living what we would call criminal lives. Those people, we look at them and say, boy, you need a good dose of salvation. But what about the person who is good? What about that person? God says that they're blinded, and we looked at that blindness that comes over people's lives. And by the way, I think Satan has more people blinded by their own goodness than he did by their debauchery. If you think about the people that Jesus Christ received the greatest opposition from during his earthly ministry, it was not the wicked, down-and-outer, murdering thieves that opposed the ministry of the Lord Jesus Christ the greatest. They weren't the ones that were publicly opposing what Jesus Christ stood for. It was the religious crowd that opposed Jesus Christ the hardest. It was the church crowd. It was the synagogue crowd that opposed what Jesus stood for the hardest. And you know what? The reality is that when we take the message of the gospel, and you know what? I've ran into more people that will say to me, I'm good enough, rather than saying to me, I'm not good enough to be saved. It's easier to say, you know what, I think God's going to accept me, because I'm just a good person. I've lived a good life. I've done this. I've done that right. That is the biggest hurdle probably for us to overcome, more than any other thing that we deal with in society. But when we think about this, we got to thank the Lord that we have been rescued. The prayer, and I don't know if I shared it this morning, that prayer to be uttered as our hearts are stirred is, Dear Lord, thank you for all that you did to rescue me from among the perishing. Do we believe that God rescued us? If we believe that God truly rescued us from sin and rescued us from ending up in a devil's hell, that he stepped in and snatched us out of the devil's hands, that ought to influence how we approach walking in his stead. Amen?